Yeah, it's going to be a much more diagnostic sort of test. Because we can see how everybody does compared to each other. This one will diagnose exactly where each individual student is, and we now have computers sophisticated to manage that, as opposed to what we've had in the past. So, thank you, Apple and Gates and all those folks. Okay, this is an example. We've been talking about the old way that we assessed and the new way that we're assessing. And so science is not making as complete a shift as mathematics and language arts are currently, because we just had 3 years after the Common Core, Next Generation Science is on its way now. And so we have another, they've been adopted by California, but it's on a 3-year roll-in. What's interesting though with the Next Generation Science standards is they are built on the identical skills of the Common Core. So they're not Common Core. They can't actually call it Common Core, but it's built on the Common Core foundation. So these skills that you're seeing here are going to be much more present in science instruction as well. Okay. And we're going to show you the example that we are going to pass out a little bit later. Will show you an example of a language arts performance task grounded in content that is science and history and other things as well. So it will be a very different sort of experience for students, even in ELA on the assessment. Still literature, but also some things like what we're going to show you. Okay, this is an old test, again, same sort of thing. This is one that we used in our district in order to help students prepare for a CST sort of test, which the following predicts possible diploid combinations when haploid gametes fuse. Okay, everybody got the answer? Because I put the answer up there. I didn't want you to feel, bad about that in case you didn't. You're not a geneticist. Okay, so this is the type of, this is just a recall sort of question, a knowledge level question. We had some better, some of them were conceptual, but I wanted to show you one that kind of hit this particular topic. Okay, because Next Generation Science is not here yet and we don't even know what the assessment's going to look like yet, we've pulled out all of the assessments that we do in the district, all of the ones that work like this, because we know it's not going to be like this. What it's going to be, I'm pretty confident, are students are given a question and say, how would you answer this question? And then run through a program that will simulate an experiment that the kids can do to try and come up with an answer to that question. Okay? So here's some things, figure out how to put them together, and they can put it together the wrong way and it'll tell them what results they get, and they can figure out whether or not to redo it. So it'll be a very different sort of test. Okay? Now what we're doing right now in science is, this is the same content. These are called text-dependent questions. And the purpose of a text-dependent question is to have kids use those skills from the Common Core standards. They're all very important skills, and have them apply them to a text that they're reading. So these are actually out of their textbook. And so notice how these questions are different. What information is given in the last paragraph on such and such a page that is not given in this figure or diagram in the page? And so students are looking at two different ways that the information is presented in the text and looking for differences. If we just hand kids a book and say, here, read this, they'll do one or the other. They'll never compare both. And they may never notice that, if I read the text, I'm going to get some things that I don't by just looking at the diagram. Or if I learn how to read the diagrams better, I'll see some things that I didn't see just by reading the text. What's interesting is, and I've seen this happen, it's amazingly powerful. We've done these in middle school. We're going on our second year with using this with middle school students, and we're starting to roll them into high school as well. Students use their science textbook as a source of exercise. They carry it to and from school. And what we found is that virtually every student in our system, and this includes high school, and this includes our top high school students, they struggle with their textbook. Because what happens if you're a better student? Well, we give you a harder text, right? Our honors and our AP courses have to have, by law, college-level texts. That's what's required. So give them a college-level text. Are you a college-level kid? No. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to read the information. When we start giving them questions that specifically ask them, okay, so why did the authors set up the information the way they did? It changes their mindset. Students, they struggle with it at first. And in fact, I had a teacher who helped me develop these questions. And her first thing that she told me when she field tested them in her own classroom was, thank you, Eric. That was the worst day of instruction I've ever had in the classroom. Thank you very much. But she says, because I trusted you, and I'm a little masochistic at times, I think, I'll go try it again. So she tried it again with her students, and she says it was still a very chaotic but it was a little bit better. Kids were starting to figure some things out. I said by the third time through, her kids were saying, oh, I get it. Oh, yeah. And they actually enjoyed reading the textbook. I know that sounds like something out of the Stepford Wives or something, but the kids were enjoying reading the textbook because they'd never been able to figure it out themselves. Because our standard mode of instruction is, we know this is tough for you, so here, let me swoop in and rescue you and give you the answer. I'm the content expert, that's my job. I'll tell you how it works. And we forget that part of our job is to let them struggle a little bit, lead them through so that they develop the skills to be able to understand it like we do, to make sense. And so that's kind of the root of this whole thing. And these sort of questions that are spread out through all those different standards and all the different skill sets just teach them how to pick apart a piece of informational text, a textbook, and make it make sense. And it changes their mindset from, oh, the author is just trying to make me feel stupid, which is what a lot of kids feel about textbooks, seriously, to, oh, the author is trying to make it make sense. And now that I see the tricks, I see how they're doing it, they're learning the things that we had to learn when we went through college, right? Because then it's Darwinian. It's like figure it out or migrate or die sort of thing. So we're trying to teach our kids, here's the skills, here's the tricks, here's how I read, and how I make sense of it when I read it. And you can do this too. Okay, this is an actual page from the reading standards, and I really want you to read all this. No, I don't. What we did is we took and we condensed this. So here's the basic standards, and I'll tell you these are the skills that are the same anchor skills or standards from kindergarten through 12th grade, just applied at different levels. Support any analysis of your reading with strong evidence from your text. Don't tell me what you think about it, tell me what it thinks about it. What did the author think when they wrote it? That's what you want to do. Determine what the central ideas and what the details are that support it. How many of you take freshmen and they get their first book and they start highlighting and they end up getting like entire pages of yellow? Because they don't know how to do this yet. They don't know what's important from what's supporting detail. So we're trying to do a better job of having them figure that out. Not teaching them, having them figure it out. Analyze the methods that the author uses to present the complex text. They recognize they're trying to get complex information across, and they're structuring it and designing it in ways to make it make sense to you. So figure out what that structure is. Don't just read it like a novel. Don't just read one word after the other, but look for those structures that are designed to help you figure it out.
If I can join
Yes.
you on that, notice that his text-dependent questions, don't go back, but was author's purpose in terms of a science text. And the reason why I'm saying that is that we don't want kids to go from class to class and say, oh, I only do author's purpose. That's an English teacher thing. Right. The whole idea is that the work we're doing is trying to help kids understand the intentionality behind what you just said, which is the author's purpose in creating the scientific information versus factoid information, because the goal would be that kids can make that transfer and that there is intentionality on the part of the author in whatever it is they read. Right. So if it's a science biology book or a novel, that every single word was placed there with an intentional, with intent. So that's
right, they'll start looking at, okay, so what was the author thinking? Why did they present these ideas, these concepts in this order? So that we build a deeper understanding in a certain sequence, because that's a way to make it make sense. Then we start moving into the craft and structure. Determine word meanings in context from the context. So there are a lot of academic terms that are used in our textbooks that we kind of gloss over, and we forget that our kids just don't know those. It's like they're kind of guessing at them. We think it's our content words that are the problem. In a science book, the content words, yes, we do have a lot of words. We have more language in a science text than a foreign language book. Okay, and it's all Greek and Latin, because it sounds smarter that way. So we have that sort of issue, but the science books are designed to help you with that. And so they'll give you, here's the word in bold, and right after it is a sentence in italics that define what that word means. So you can always go back there, or you can look in the glossary and get help with those things. But what about the words like analyze? What exactly do they keep using this word, and I'm not really sure what it means. Where do they get help with that? Well, it's not in the glossary. It's not italicized, it's just used. So it's good to stop every once in a while and pick out those words and say, okay, kids, here's a word that's used there. what do you think that means? Write down a quick definition. Okay, now debate it with the person sitting next to you. Okay, what did you guys come up with? And we write down some ideas and kind of come up with a consensus of what we think that word means. And then at the end, we tell them the answer? Not necessarily. You can leave them hanging and say, okay, well that's what our consensus definition is. See, last period they thought it meant this. What do you think of theirs? And the more you delay the rescue, the swooping in as a super teacher to help them, the more they develop the, well, I got to figure this out myself, don't I? And they become more confident because that they have those skills. Yes.
I'm listening to you and I'm trying to imagine, relating this to, okay, check me out on this. If I'm in the process of trying to teach the constitutionality of authority, power, and accountability in enforcing the law, and I've already gone through my text, and from an informational context perspective, I bring out like 3 specific areas that the concept of authority, moral authority, is based in the United States Constitution, California State Constitution, local statutes and ordinances, and I bring all of this out and I present this to the students. Okay, again, informational text, which I think is like going back to the kind of thing that we used to do, or I look at the Common Core in a sense of going back years ago and looking at the material that we're charged basically to teach our students in ways that we used to do it more than we've kind of regressed.
In some ways, but the thing is that now there's a whole lot of research behind it.
Okay,
So we're validating that skills.
So what I'm trying to imagine
important,
is, from informational text perspective, as an instructor, and I bring out these main points, I would then be asking my students as to their insight, understanding of how this supports the question of the constitutionality of these, right? Or am I?
That sounds good. It's part of it is maybe look at number 2 here too. Is maybe have them try to figure out what are the main points. If there's a document that describes that here's kind of the pillars at different levels of what define constitutionality at any given place that you live, you have these 3 different layers of, if there's something that's stating them, then have them pick out what's the big idea here. And so that they discover it. The more you turn it over to them to discover before you present, and have them kind of get their ideas, and then you help them crystallize and clarify afterwards. Because then they're building their own. Part of this is that students learn how to build their own background, their own foundations. They learn how to gather information, and they may not know what to do with all of it, but you're giving them, here's ways to figure out what the information is.
And you mentioned using primary source documents, which is very prominent in the Common Core.
Yes, well, and I'll show you that a little bit later. So.
Is it the end goal of Common Core is really on writing? Because I've been watching the one on the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in kindergarten or first grade, 3 + 4 is 6. They are not satisfied with 6. You have to justify how come it became 6. In real life, if I'm going to the store and they give me the change, why is it so?
Right.
I mean, for me, Common Core is more on writing skills, which means that science, other areas are being penalized because you are more geared on writing skills. Am I right?
No,
because in
I would
science,
disagree.
for example,
The Common Core has those 4 foundations.
no, I do understand, but the main idea is more on writing and writing. Now, if you are in a bilingual classroom, how will you answer that if you're teaching in their first language? Will the Common Core have the test that will answer, that will help
That'd be a
the
Pamela
students?
question, but what you're asking about is how does it adapt for different special populations? And again, the Common Core says, here's the skills everyone needs to have.
Yeah, I know, but
Figure
it
out
is
how to
more
adapt
on
it for different
writing.
populations.
It's more on writing.
No, it's not more on writing.
Yeah,
It's actually
that's
much,
if you cannot express yourself, how can you? If it's
it
really on
includes writing, but it is just as strong on speaking. In mathematics, it's going to be much stronger on speaking than on the writing part.
Yeah,
Students
but
have to
you really
explain their
have to
reasoning.
justify it when you check it.
Right,
because
with
if you're
evidence.
going to in the computer, you're
Right.
not going to act
And
like
I'll show you
the
what,
answer.
just to give you a little piece of information about the mathematics in particular. Part of where the research that this came out of was from places in Southeast Asia and other places where kids, where they instructed differently. And they found that the general population of kids did not look like the general population of kids that we have, in that there's a certain point
But
where
they
we
form better.
teach by algorithm. So we teach a pattern. Okay, kids, here's the pattern. Here's how we solve it. Step 1, step 2, step 3, etc. Okay? Now, let's together. What's step 1? What's step 2? And we go through the problem together. Okay, now here's 15 for you to do on your own. Steps 1 through ...
What I
right?
don't understand.
And so we're teaching them patterns, and we're teaching them to follow patterns, and our bright kids who like math will sit there and figure out, why does that pattern work the way it does? And so they understand mathematics and they keep going on. For the rest of us, we get to a certain point where, sorry, brain is full, I am not a math person. I mean, you go to my math teachers, they hate going to parties, say, what do you do? I teach. Yeah, what do you teach? Math. Oh, I'm just not good at math. It's like, well.
No, but Eric, before I
Yes.
start, what is the problem of our educational system before, when we have scientists who went to the moon? I mean, what is the difference between that time and this time? Is the educational system that time where we send, how many Nobel Prize winners do we have in math and in science?
Yeah.
Is there really a difference? Really?
Yeah.
We send people to the moon.
Yes.
With our educational system, what was wrong with it then, and then now?
Well, I
Is
think
it
the big
different?
difference is we went through a period in K-12 and higher education where we taught towards outcomes instead of towards foundational understanding.
But we
of-
have this evidence, they went to the moon.
But that was one
They did.
person. This is all about all kids.
There was also a lot of
But let's
inequity
face it, not all
in the
kids can
system.
learn.
They will.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where I would say, I think that all due respect, I think you're getting hung up on the
Yeah,
writing and
yeah.
the speaking aspect.
Yeah.
It seems to me they're trying to do is to get it at a conceptual level. I can buy a calculator and put 4 + 3 =
I
7
know.
into it, but if I understand it, then I can express it in something other than just with numbers. And to be able to express what the reasoning is behind something. The focus is not so much on just that it's another writing exercise. It's demonstrating the concept of understanding the math or the science, and so it's not just that it's a fact. It's like, why? How do you come to this fact?
I do understand, because my background is these lower kids, before I send them to you. If I don't do my job well, you will not produce well. Because it's just like planting a good plant. If you don't water it, you don't nourish it, you will not harvest a good fruit, will you?
True, which is why this is a K-12 system.
Yeah.
And recognizing that these 12 basic skills, which we're a little less than halfway through, or these 10 basic skills, are critical, and are critical that we develop them from the earliest stages. And what's interesting is, as we've been doing the process, there are people colleagues that I work with, who say it's weird. You know, my son or my daughter goes to school here. My daughter came home and she said something. You know, somebody made a statement. They said, "Well, do you have good evidence for that?" It's like they're starting to talk about the understanding that they have to back up what they say with evidence. So different than what the camera crews find when they go out and they stick a microphone in somebody's face and say, "What do you think about this?" "Well, I don't know, but I think." It's like, well, based on what evidence? So anyways, which is kind of the heart of all of this, is getting people to think from the start differently, think evidence-based. Think that when somebody's giving me information, they're trying to present in a way to make sense to me. So if it's not making sense to me, I'm not picking up on some of the things that they're doing to try and help me. Okay, next one, craft and structure. Analyze how the structure is designed to convey meaning, present an argument. Okay, you don't just say, this is what I think and this is why. We may do that, but even that's 2 steps. Have kids break that down, analyze it down so that they can find those things and they know what they're looking at. And determine what the author's point of view is and how it is supported. And also analyze how well they support it. Not all authors are equally competent or unbiased. Actually, all authors are biased. So what's their bias? And does that make a difference in how reliable this matter is? Okay, integrating multiple sources of information. So now we've run into the last section, which is integration of knowledge and ideas. So kids integrate from different sources and different types of information. both digital and print media and whatever I heard from Uncle Joe, but acknowledge that Uncle Joe may or may not know what he's talking about. Evaluate the reasoning and evidence used to present arguments. So how good is the evidence? Not just accepting it that this is evidence, but evaluating, is that strong evidence or not? Comparing information from different sources on a topic, addressing conflicts. So if you have two sources that are presenting different viewpoints on something, address that. Why is there a difference of opinion here? Are they both presenting good evidence? And if so, then how do you make a determination? Or is it still just an open question? There are a whole lot of things, as we know in life, that are still just kind of open questions and we're trying to figure out. Not everything has an answer. And then the last one is just saying, make sure the kids apply all of these things at grade level appropriate so that we're developing all of these 9 skills, and that by the end of whatever slice of the educational system we're looking at, whether it's the end of elementary or middle school or 10th grade or 12th grade, that by the end we're shooting for kids are able to see all of these skills and apply them all adequately so that they can figure out how to read text, how to communicate text. These are just the reading standards. There are writing standards as well, which we're not going to go through. But I just wanted to show you this. This is how we teach kids to dissect informational text. These are the same standards for my science teachers as it is for history teachers, as it is for English teachers, as it is for math teachers when they pay attention.
And some of the verbiage that you can't see because we've just summarized for you, but some of the verbiage on that last standard 10 talks about complex text, and that has been a real shift for our teachers because for too long we have allowed our second language learners and our struggling readers to be working in text that's multiple grade levels below their grade level so that they feel confident and they can comprehend and so forth, but then when faced with a grade level text, they're just completely lost. And so really the message that we've been trying to support is less is more. We would rather, this is an English teacher thing, but I would rather that students, that a teacher works deeply and purposefully through a difficult text to build students' confidence, rather than saying we need to get through 7 novels this year, so I'll just read it to you because I know you can understand it on your own. I mean, those kinds of practices, which make kids feel good when they're in school, but we're not helping them when we send them off to school. So the idea is that text complexity, and should you want to learn more or are curious about what is considered complex text, we can share with you some resources online, what is considered to be, age appropriate, grade level appropriate, because that's a big shift for a lot of our teachers, so,
Yes.
yeah.
I don't know if this is the right time for questions, but based on what you just said, isn't K through 12 though, certainly K through 5, isn't that where we want to develop breadth and then later on we go into depth? Because I appreciate your comment very much about wanting a student to be able to deal with a complex text, but I would certainly expect that in the earlier years they're getting exposed to a broad amount of information, and then as they get older and gain competence and confidence, they go into depth, and that's certainly what happens. Most of this stuff is stuff that we all did at graduate level, but that was after many, many years of breadth and exposure. So I was making notes on this. Is there any actual grammar assessment in these English components? Because so much of it looks subjective. Is all of the, and I have an 11-year-old, so I'm concerned from both sides here, as a professor here and as a parent. What is being omitted in the interest of subjective assessment and depth? Where is the objective and breadth in this, in Common Core?
Eric, the next few slides will show the balance of reading and writing. I think we'll address that. That's good.
Yeah, and we've also done a similar thing in science. And the science professors at college and university level have often told us, look, don't worry about all the facts that you're teaching them, just teach them how to think. We'll give them all the facts. So, okay, so that's kind of what Common Core and Next Generation Science is doing. It's chopping down so that you can go deeper, so that you apply a breadth of skills as opposed to gathering a breadth of facts, because quite frankly, we don't need our kids to have a breadth of facts because they can pull them up at any time. Okay, we need to teach them how to manage it and to make sense of it. So that's, you know.
But how do you
it-
activate prior knowledge if there is no prior knowledge? Part of the exposure to
Yes,
breadth
we
is
do
to
that. We
collect
do
prior
activation of prior knowledge,
Yeah.
but we also,
You need to build some background.
you need to build background as to,
You
yes.
can't just
That doesn't
say,
get
read
forgotten.
this and-
It
yeah.
does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I can just address the difference between building background and accessing prior knowledge, we need to have a judicious amount of time to build the background knowledge that students need to understand the foundational themes or whatever it is they need. There's been a little bit of confusion because the sense is I'm not supposed to do that anymore, and I'm just supposed to give kids just something really difficult and say, you know, last year I would have helped you, but I guess I can't help you anymore, and that's not it at all. It's finding a really sweet spot balance of what kids need to know in order to be successful, but not doing what we sometimes, and this is not just a Long Beach Unified thing, this is teachers across the nation, have done too much for students. And they've become passive learners. And even those who can will say, well, if I sit long enough, the teacher will just give me the answer because we need to move on. And so the idea is, how much do you need to know in order to engage you and stimulate your thought process about where we're about to go in any kind of text? But how much is too much? Because sometimes we say, oh, and you need to, let me tell you all these background stories about this piece, which then allows the kids not to have to do any thinking. So it's finding that
We
perfect
sometimes undermine their
balance,
process, yeah.
which is what's on the screen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so what this is talking about is what the Common Core studies say how we should shift that. And this is not just in English classes when we get up to the secondary, this is across the entire instructional day for a student in K-12 system. That in elementary, they ought to be looking at about half and half literary analysis and half of it informational text that they're reading and figuring out how to make sense of. Because they are two very different types of text. And all the research shows that when kids jump from 5th grade into 6th grade, there's a huge drop for virtually everybody in their achievement because suddenly they're faced with a class that has nothing but informational text. And the teacher in that class assumes that elementary taught these kids how to read, so how come they can't read my book? They must be no good. I got the dumb kids. And that's a really bad place to be. What you have is kids who have not been prepared for your type of text.
I was just gonna say that, I think as far as elementary school is concerned, for so long we focused on fictional stories, and we never really taught students, or even, you know, non-fictional or expository text, and I think as we make that leap from 5th to 6th grade, I think that's where it gets lost. Not that they can't read, but there's just not the exposure to expository information.
Right, and that's why these numbers they're very different than what we've been doing. That's why they're saying 50-50 in elementary. Lean heavier on the informational text would move into middle school, and then 70% versus 30%. Now this still means that the English class can be doing mostly, because 30% of the entire instructional day, well, they spend, what, 20% of the instructional day in English class, so they could, you know, spend a lot of time on literature. But also, we could start bringing certain types of literature into content area classes as well, but also we need to teach in our content where they've got informational text, how to access the text. We can't just give it to them and say, good luck, kid. It doesn't work, the research shows.
Yeah, and if a student happened to have a set of teachers in any place who loved literature and never exposed them to informational text, potentially a student could go almost through high school and not ever have grappled with informational expository. And then they graduate and have a nice GPA and they come to college and they're completely ill-prepared for any kind of informational text. Because the teacher chose to only work through novels or short stories or poetry. And I'm an English teacher, so I can say I see the value in those genres, but it has to be a balance. And that's one of the shifts that Pamela was sharing with us at the beginning, is the balance between informational and narrative text, and us making sure that the science and health and history teachers are also having kids work in the text, which is what Eric said, and not just telling them the information. So the 70% is not in my English class. That's in a child's day, year, month, a period of time. They should be spending 70% of the time in informational text and only 30 in narrative.
Yeah, which by the way means different teaching in science.
Yeah.
Because science teachers, especially my best teachers, have gotten completely away from the text. It's like, let's just do the magic show, let's just do entertainment, we'll do inquiry activities, and I'll have you write as little as possible, or read as little as possible. We'll just kind of show you everything. And we basically have changed our instruction as if we're teaching to people who don't read and write English. We've avoided the entire issue. And so now we have to learn how to bring it, reel it back in, and teach kids how to access significant text that matters when they need to, so that they're getting both sides. So that's the shift for us. I'm going to try and go real fast here because we're running out of time. It's been great discussion, but we want to get you so that you can actually look at a performance task and have some time to think about it. This is also balance in the writing. So we just did reading, so now here's the writing. So in order to explain, here's what I read, and most of my teachers in science, whenever they have students do writing, whether it's, you know, from elementary up through high school, it's always here to give me a report. Tell me what this thing is about, information. The writing standards actually start with make an argument and back it up with evidence. That's the first priority of writing in the Common Core, which I think is awesome and what we need to do a lot more of in science. And again, you can see how this, to persuade, to explain, these are informational writing versus to convey experience or narrate. And again, you can see how the shift is towards those types of writing that are going to be more useful in careers and in college that prepares them for careers. Okay. There are, it's shared experiences. These are English standards. I'm a science teacher. I'm not here because I'm an English teacher because I love English. I love science. But I recognize that in order to empower my skills, my students to be skilled learners, they have to learn how to learn. See, I discovered about halfway through my teaching career in the classroom that, wow, these kids are like totally dependent on me. If I'm a lousy teacher today, they have a lousy experience learning. They don't learn it, and I have to redo it. There's never the option to say, okay, you guys, if I did a bad job, you know, go figure it out on your own, because, you know, we don't give them the tools to be able to do that. Okay. So this is about giving them that. And we have one set of standards for ELA, and then there are some that are specifically written for our other contexts, and so we're going to move real fast to that. These are examples of the same standard. These are two standards at 5th grade level for drawing evidence from literary or informational texts. This is grade 5. We want kids to be able to do this. Okay. Here's the same thing for grades 9, that 9, 10th grade band. Exact same skill, written for kids 4 years later. So see how it's the same skill, applied with greater sophistication. Move on. Here's the difference between two things that are at the grade level. The top one is written for English. The standard is draw evidence from literary or informational texts. And for history, social science, me, and other technical subjects, we're only worrying about informational text. Okay, same thing. Here's specific examples. Don't like the purple, huh? I'm sorry, that's purple. That is the highlighter pink. That's actually supposed to be pink. It's probably going to be worse in the next one. This is the language arts version to determine an author's point of view or purpose in a text in which the rhetoric is particularly effective, analyzing how the style can contribute to the power, persuasiveness, and beauty of the text. Okay? We're not going to be doing that so much in science. Okay? So here's the same standard translated for history. It's supposed to be pink because that's our color for English. This is supposed to be purple, which is our color for history. Different points of view on the same historical event. Assessing the author's claims, reasoning, and the evidence that they use. Exact same skill. Here's how we do it in history. Here's how we make it make sense. And in science. what's the author's purpose in setting up the text the way they've set up the text.
Is this actual nomenclature that students see? Or was this written for the education?
Standards are generally written for the teachers, so this is this is the skill you want your students to experience. And remember we said the standards say this is what the skills that are important, but we don't tell you how to do that. So as a teacher, this is part of your professional responsibility, is figure out how do you get kids to start applying this skill.
What age student is reading these instructions?
This is high school.
So is
This is 9-10, I
is
believe.
the vocabulary filtered down a bit for
11,
younger
12.
students?
This is 11-12, so this is specific, and they don't, at elementary, they don't break it out according to different subjects like this.
And junior high?
Junior high, they do.
I think, are you asking, do the students see these standards?
Yeah, I mean,
They may.
if I were a ninth grader, am I given this and that's like the question given to me? Am I expected to read and process at this reading level?
I mean,
It could be.
or variation there, I mean,
How young?
it would sound,
How young would a student be expected to read and understand this question?
Actually, I think this is 11-12. I think I pulled them from the last column.
It's really abstract, it's really recondite. So
It's 11-12, so these are, and this is the final level that we want kids to reach. And so this is not necessarily an incoming 11th grader will be able to do this, but doggone it, by the end of 12th, we want them to be able to do this.
But the same skill, how would it be written for like an 11-year-old child, like a 6th grader?
well, we'd have to.
We didn't dig that up.
Okay.
I just wanted to show you kind of, this is the kids right before you, they're gonna be
Yeah, I
learning how to
understand
do
that.
this
I
sort of thing, how to apply this sort of skill, so. Okay, another example. This is not a mistake, this is going to your point, this is the English standard, this is not the history standard. This is the one the English teachers say, what? And we say, yeah. This is also something that's out there as a misnomer that Shelley was talking about on our drive over here, that she's seen letters to the editor of the local paper talking about how kids are not going to know our founding documents anymore, and we're going to, the world's going to heck. Well, maybe not, because actually they specifically point English classes to these documents, okay, by name. Here's the English standard that's parallel to this.
Wait, this first one is ELA and this
Yes.
middle one?
Yes, this is history. This is English language arts. This is English class.
English.
This is in your history class.
class.
Yes. So in history class, we want our kids grappling with primary and secondary sources, knowing the difference and the reliability of those two things. And then in science, we wanted them to grapple with different sources of information. And again, looking at resolving people who have conflicting points of view on the same issue whenever possible. Are they just apparent or are they real?
So we realize we're at time, and Eric and Shelley have a really important document they're going to pass out to you.
Yeah.
I have the lesser important one, which is the evaluation. If you would just leave it on the table as you go out, they'll explain what they're leaving with you.
Let me share with you what this is. This is a sample performance test, which was one of the structures that I shared with you earlier. This has been released by Smarter Balance, which is the consortium I mentioned, and this is their logo. So this is not Long Beach created, this is online. This is multiple pages, so we don't expect you, it's not light evening reading by any stretch. But this is a sample of what would be called like a multi-day event, and we believe it's multi-day might be 2. But the idea is that students are working individually and then in groups, and then individually again through this performance task. And this is the real work that kids will do on the assessment. So we wanted you to have a sample to look through, so you can see the work that our students will be facing. So.
We did not bring it up.